Je propose que, conformément aux dispositions de son règlement intérieur provisoire et à la pratique établie en la matière, le Conseil invite l'observateur permanent de l'État observateur de Palestine auprès de l'Organisation des Nations Unies à participer à la présente séance. Puisqu'il n'y a pas d'objection, il en est ainsi décidé. Le Conseil de sécurité va maintenant aborder l'examen du point 2 de l'ordre du jour. Les membres du Conseil sont saisis du texte d'un projet de résolution déposé par la Jordanie, publié sous la cote S-2014-916. Je crois savoir que le Conseil est prêt à procéder au vote sur le projet de résolution dont il est saisi. Je vais maintenant mettre le projet de résolution aux voix. Que ceux qui sont en faveur du projet de résolution publié sous la cote S-2014-916 lèvent la main. Ceux qui sont contre, y a-t-il des abstentions? Le résultat du vote est le suivant. 8 voix pour, 2 voix contre, 5 abstentions. Le projet de résolution n'est pas adopté du fait qu'il n'a pas recueilli le nombre requis de voix. Des États-Unis. Autant pour moi.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. In recent years, no government has invested more in the effort to achieve Israeli-Palestinian peace than the United States. Peace, however difficult it may be to forge, is too important to give up on. As we were reminded this summer in Gaza, and as we've been reminded too painfully recently in Jerusalem and the West Bank, the human consequences of ensuing cycles of violence are too grave. The United States every day searches for new ways to take constructive steps to support the parties in making progress toward achieving a negotiated settlement. The Security Council resolution put before us today is not one of those constructive steps. It would undermine efforts to get back to an atmosphere that makes it possible to achieve 2 states for 2 people. Regrettably, instead of giving voice to the aspirations of both Palestinians and Israelis, this text addresses the concerns of only one side. It is deeply imbalanced and contains many elements that are not conducive to negotiations between the parties, including unconstructive deadlines that take no account of Israel's legitimate security concerns. In addition, this resolution was put to a vote without a discussion or due consideration among council members, which is highly unusual, especially considering the gravity of the matter at hand. We must proceed responsibly, not take actions that would risk a downward spiral. We voted against this resolution not because we are comfortable with the status quo. We voted against it because we know what everyone here knows as well. Peace will come from hard choices and compromises that must be made at the negotiating table. Today's staged confrontation in the UN Security Council will not bring the parties closer to achieving a 2-state solution. We voted against this resolution not because we are indifferent to the daily hardships or the security threats endured by Palestinians and Israelis, but because we know that those hardships will not cease and those threats will not subside until the parties reach a comprehensive settlement achieved through negotiations. This resolution sets the stage for more division, not for compromise. It could well serve to provoke the very confrontation it purports to address. For decades, the United States has worked to try to help achieve a comprehensive end to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, and we remain committed to achieving the peace that both Palestinians and Israelis deserve. 2 states for 2 peoples, with a sovereign, viable, and independent Palestine living side by side in peace and security with a Jewish and democratic Israel. The United States does not just acknowledge the tremendous frustrations and disappointments on both sides over the years in pursuit of peace. We share them, and we understand the immense challenges the parties need to overcome to make peace a reality. Yet at the same time, we firmly believe the status quo between Israelis and Palestinians is unsustainable. The United States recognizes the role that this Council has played before in advancing a sustainable end to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, including through resolutions 242, 338, and 1515, which calls for the creation of a Palestinian state alongside Israel, with both states, quote, living side by side within secure and recognized borders, end quote. In a May 2011 speech, President Obama elaborated further that, quote, the United States believes that negotiations should result in 2 states with permanent Palestinian borders with Israel, Jordan, and Egypt, and permanent Israeli borders with Palestine, based on the 1967 lines with mutually agreed swaps, so that secure and recognized borders are established for both states, end quote. He made clear that the, quote, Palestinian people must have the right to govern themselves and reach their full potential in a sovereign and contiguous state, end quote. The United States will continue reaching out to the parties in an effort to find a way forward, and we are ready to engage and support them when they are ready to return to the table. And we will continue to oppose actions by both sides that we view as detrimental to the cause of peace, whether those actions come in the form of settlement activity or imbalanced draft resolutions in this Council. The parties have a responsibility to negotiate and to own the hard choices that will be needed if they are to bring real and long overdue change to their region to benefit their people. Today's vote should not be interpreted as a victory for an unsustainable status quo. Instead, it should serve as a wake-up call to catalyze all interested parties to take constructive, responsible steps to achieve a 2-state solution, which remains the only way to bring an end to the ongoing cycle of violence and suffering. We hope that those who share our vision for peace between 2 states, Israel and Palestine, both secure, democratic, and prosperous, will join us in redoubling efforts to find a path forward that can rally international consensus, advance future negotiations, and provide a horizon of hope for Palestinians and Israelis alike. Thank you.
Stability and unsustainability of the status quo. A just and lasting resolution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict is long overdue. We will continue to spare no effort to turn our ambition, the creation of a sovereign, contiguous and viable Palestinian state living in peace and security side by side with Israel, into reality. We have long believed that direct negotiations towards a 2-state solution need to be on the basis of clear, internationally agreed parameters. I recall that in February 2011, I set out in this chamber our view of what these should be in a joint United Kingdom, France and Germany explanation of vote on a resolution on settlements. We therefore welcome the idea of a Security Council resolution on the Middle East peace process which sets out these parameters. However, agreeing such a resolution requires proper time for consultation and negotiation of the draft resolution, including on its timing. We consider President Abbas a man of peace and understand the pressure that the Palestinian leadership has been under to act and their frustration at the lack of progress. But we are disappointed that the normal and necessary negotiation did not take place on this occasion. The United Kingdom supports much of the content of the draft resolution. It is therefore with deep regret that we abstained on it. The United Kingdom stands by the parameters I set out here in 2011 and which were reiterated by the European Union Foreign Affairs Council conclusions of July 2014. Our views on settlements, including in East Jerusalem, are clear. They are illegal under international law, an obstacle to peace, and seriously damage prospects for a two-state solution. All settlement activity, including in East Jerusalem, should cease immediately. We call on all parties not to take unilateral steps which would make the search for peace based on negotiations harder. Mr. President, given the fact that this draft resolution has not been adopted today, the United Kingdom would like to work with partners to revisit the idea of a parameters resolution on the Middle East peace process in 2015. We are convinced that it is possible, with further time and effort, to secure for the first time ever a resolution which commands full Security Council support. I thank you.
Regrettably, the draft resolution under consideration today will not help this process, and that is why we have voted against it. It lacks balance and seeks to impose a solution put forward by one party alone. Final status issues can only be resolved between the two sides. A process agreed by both sides is the only way forward to reach an enduring agreement. The violence experienced in recent months in the Palestinian territories and Israel underlines the terrible human costs of the failure of final status negotiations and how fragile the situation is in the absence of genuine progress towards establishing a Palestinian state, an objective in which Australia believes and to which we are committed. Australia urges all parties to refrain from provocative actions and for leaders from both sides to show real courage in returning to the difficult path of peace negotiations. Thank you.
Based on Security Council resolutions, the Madrid Principles of Land for Peace, the Roadmap for Peace in the Middle East, and the Arab Peace Initiative. We are convinced that collective action by this Council is critical in advancing and expediting the peace process and serves as the most important catalyst in ending the protracted conflict. Nigeria's perspectives on the question of Palestine have been consistently guided by its position regarding the rule of law and respect for the principles of international law and justice. We have an abiding respect for the legitimacy of the aspirations of the Palestinian people to self-determination, independence, and dignity. That is why we encourage both sides to demonstrate greater flexibility in their long-term strategic interests. Indeed, Mr. President, there is no alternative to a two-state solution with Israel and Palestine living together side by side in peace, stability, and security. Nigeria remains very supportive of the right of the Palestinian people to self-determination, independence, and dignity. We are also mindful of the need to guarantee Israel's security and existence as a sovereign state. It is for this reason that we support the comprehensive discussion of all final status issues. The ultimate path to lasting peace lies in a negotiated solution, and the time is ripe for both sides to return to the peace talks. I thank you.
Je remercie.
State solution as the only viable way to build a lasting peace in the region. We fully understand and empathize with the aspiration of the Palestinian people to have an independent state of their own. We believe that such aspiration is in accordance with the right of the Palestinian people as embodied in the Charter of the United Nations. To this end, we believe that direct negotiations between the parties are indispensable for realizing two democratic states, Israel and Palestine, living side by side in peace with secure and recognized borders. In this process, any unilateral action by either party will be counterproductive and hinder genuine progress, just as paragraph 10 of the draft resolution calls upon both parties to abstain from any unilateral actions. It is under this consideration that the Republic of Korea abstained from today's vote. Given the deteriorating situation in the Middle East, we agree with the Secretary General's repeated warning that the time is not on the side of peace. We share the view that the longer the present state of insecurity continues, the farther the path to genuine peace will be. However, this is all the more reason that each side must exercise restraint so as not to worsen the situation by engaging in a unilateral action. Once again, we urge all parties to respect previous agreements and return to the negotiating table to work out a viable agreement with the two-state solution at its core. Thank you.
Je remercie le représentant.